purpose of this session is to really focus on some things that you may learn throughout this next year and ways that you can support your student in their transition to the university. So an overview of things that we'll cover for this session will be a basic introduction to counseling and psychological services, what we offer, how students get connected with us. We're also going to discuss the developmental changes that your student may be experiencing for the next year. What are some of the things that at this age we are expecting them to accomplish and supporting them in growing while they're here. And then finally, we're going to talk about the changes that you and your family might experience throughout this year as your student transitions from adolescent to adult. I am curious though, how many of you is this your first college student, first student coming to college? Okay, a lot of people. What about second? Okay. Third? All right, just a few. 4? Well, a few more. What about 5? 5? Anybody? 2, okay. All right, so now I'm going to hand over the presentation to you all, and you could just do this, but yeah. So, but with the 5, are they all St. Thomas? Oh, I'm sure it's fine. It's okay. No, they'll be great. So again, really for part of today, it's to give and focus on some context for what you're experiencing. Whether this is your first child or your 5th child to go to college, every step of the way, your family experiences new challenges, new growths, and it impacts the entire family unit. And so again, we're going to talk about how that might be a context for your emotions. Like I said, I am a psychologist. I am going to talk about feelings. My director usually does this presentation, and she has gotten one dad to cry each time she's presented. So my goal today is to really get 2. So if you're crying, let me know, because I'm going to get some bonus points. But again, really, I want you to feel like today is an opportunity for you to really sit with what this experience is like for you as a parent or as a sibling, and to look around and see that there's just a room full of other parents and siblings here who are experiencing the same thing, and several other days of parents who are also experiencing the same thing. I'm also going to do a lot of shameless promotion of CAPS and our counseling services, because they are amazing services and I want your students to know about them. And I really want to spend some time just normalizing the experience. Again, this is a really new developmental time for your student, and it can present with things that you never faced with your student before. So how to normalize some of that, and again, hear from some of the resources that are here to support you and your student through that. And then I'm going to answer all of your questions, whether it's about CAPS, the University of St. Thomas, the world. If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up, or I'll send you to somebody who actually knows the answer. Okay, so here's the shameless promotion part. Counseling and psychological services, we are located both on the St. Paul campus and the Minneapolis campus. Predominantly, our undergrad students will make contact with us through the St. Paul office. And we're located right on campus now in Murray Herrick Center, which is where the students get their ID cards. And in the fall, we'll be moving to our new building, but they will get a lot of information about that. At Counseling and Psych Services, we offer individual counseling, group counseling, crisis services, outreach workshops to the residence halls, to classes. And we also offer consultation to faculty, students, and parents. And so if you have a concern about your student, or if you have a question about your student, you can also contact us directly to give us that information or to ask questions. Our services are completely confidential and free. Well, you've already paid a lot for them, but they're included. And when I say confidential, what that means is that even if your student may be coming to see us, we can't let you know that information unless we have an explicit written release to speak to you about them coming to counseling. But that being said, you can call us and give us information anytime you want. that may be relevant to your student's health or your concern. And if your student is telling you that they're in counseling, that's a great conversation to have with them, and we still can't confirm or talk to you even if they've told you themselves without that written consent. But again, I really want to stress here the piece is that we are available for the students, but we do also offer you consultation as well, and to remember that throughout the year. Another service we offer for the students that the students have really taken to is something called Let's Talk. So this is a confidential drop-in service that we offer in the library Monday through Friday from 1 to 2. This is a briefer appointment where students can just come in and meet with a professional counselor, whether it's to ask a question or they have one specific problem they want to solve, or maybe they've never been to counseling and they kind of want to get a feel for what that is. The thing that's unique about this program is that they don't need to make an appointment to come to the library and talk to someone, but to come and see us in our main office, they would make an initial appointment to come and see us, unless they're in crisis, and then we would be available to them. Okay. So now we're going to transition a little bit again to, like I said, that development of your student from this adolescent teenager to this growing adult. So what if I told you that that process looks like this? Yeah. Who believes me? Yeah, I don't believe me either. But, okay, so what if I told you it actually looks a little bit more like this? Right. So this is a fake model, like don't take pictures, don't take notes, this is not real, but we all know from our own experiences that coming into adulthood looks a little bit more like this than a straight line. But what I can speak to is that something that we all wish existed is something called the parental bypass mechanism. So this idea that as a parent, we could step in to really help our student, help our child, skip all of the hard stuff and just end up as a fully functioning, happy, fully fulfilled adult. From our own experiences, we know that's not real life. But again, there's a lot of wish that this would be here. And so as they enter the university, there have been ways that they have grown into the person they are right now that they're also going to be growing into their new adult self. And so while they're here at the university, and this age group in general has specific developmental tasks that are common to occur during this range. And you and the university are here to help support them in achieving these over the next several years. So these include achieving competence, growing in their knowledge, learning how to manage their emotions and deal with stress, build resiliency, learning how to develop and grow interpersonal relationships and communicate. They're also going to be spending some time really establishing their identity, really deciding and learning who they are as a person and what are the things that they value and they want to live in their life. And that involves developing their purpose and understanding kind of their bigger meaning, developing integrity and growing their values, and then ultimately working towards achieving autonomy and interdependence. And this is going to look different for every student, right? It's going to be different based on your family's culture, your family background. And achieving autonomy, achieving interdependence doesn't mean that your student is leaving you and is going to be throwing away everything you've ever taught them. But it's really how they start to integrate all of their experiences into the person that they're becoming. So does this look familiar to anybody? How many of you remember doing this with your student? Yeah. This morning? Any of you? No? All right. So I think a thing that I really like to stress when I sit with all of you or stand with all of you is that all of those tasks that I just listed before, all of these things, they've been doing this since you brought them home. Since they were a baby, or if you brought them home after adopting them as a toddler or older, these are tasks that they have been working on since you have known them. And these are tasks that you've been assisting them with since then. And so since you brought your child home, immediately the first thing they start to do is attach to you as a parent. And we want that to happen. We want children to attach to us. We want them to feel safe and secure and supported. So with that, you bring home that little baby, everything, the minute you bring them home and they start to attach to you, they also start to separate from you. How many of you remember when your child first crawled? Yeah. So what happened when they started crawling? Anybody? They tried to get away, right? Thank you. Yes, free tuition. No, I'm kidding. I don't have that power. I don't have that authority at all. But yes, again, that they have worked on growing and developing since you brought them home. So with this comes a lot of mixed feelings. There's a lot of gain that comes from watching your student grow and develop into this little human that then becomes this adult. But with that, there becomes a sense of loss of the person who is also may feel like they're separating and growing away from you. And these are all occurring at the same time. There's excitement and joy for what they're achieving, and a missing of that child, that person who's been with you this however many years. And again, this is a point where they start to individualize. And again, what that means is not that they are abandoning what it means to be a part of your family or the values that you hold, but again, how to integrate that all in with the new experiences and the new opportunities that they're exposed to. And again, these are not new things, right? Right? All of you have experienced your kid doing this at some point, whether it was going to kindergarten, learning to walk, starting new relationships and friendships. Children begin to make their own choices. And with that, there begins to be an increase in the risk for danger. And that can be really scary as a parent, right? Like, we really want to protect our kids from not being exposed to anything that could hurt them. But at the same time that they might be increasing their risk for danger, they're also experiencing more exploration and more learning. But that also means that they might be open to influences of other people other than you, other outside the home or family presence. And that too can be scary, to really wonder what your student or your child may be hearing from others. So with that, I think it's important to think of a framework of, what do you want for your children? What do you want your children to be? Anybody? Happy? Confident? Independent, self-sufficient, responsible. Yes, thank you. And so what are your hopes and dreams for them? They find their passion. Happy, yes, similar. At this point, I usually get a parent who says that they hope that their student gets a job. They hope that their student leaves with a degree, which kind of takes us to the next question. What qualities or attributes do you want your student to have when they graduate, when they leave the University of St. Thomas? Self-sufficient, yeah. Generous. Well prepared for their career. And again, so there's a lot of overlap in all of these questions of wanting your student to be happy, to be confident, to be self-sufficient and kind. And these are all things, again, that they have been working towards their whole life with your support and your encouragement. And we're just really talking about today how that starts to shift a little as your adolescent moves into adulthood. And that some of the ways that you may show up for them and support them may look a little different for your adult child than it did your little child learning to walk. This is really related to this idea of letting go. There are lots of times in our family that we've had to learn to let go. For example, like I said, when your child is learning to walk or learning to swim. bike riding. These are all stages that you have already supported your student in throughout their life, or your sibling in throughout their life, your child, and you have helped them be successful in this by allowing this growth. Going to school, learning to drive. Like, you gave them keys to a highly mechanized vehicle and just told them to go off, and they were great. You know, so you have already done so much of this. And I want to be clear that this is not some like millennial conspiracy theory letting go. Like, this is a real thing. It's existed for a really long time. This is actually a quote back from 1969 where one of the Monsignors, Terence Murphy, really spoke about the importance of the parents taking a step back and letting go of their child to grow into adulthood. Now, again, I like to reiterate a lot of times, like, letting go does not mean you're dropping off your student and you're showing up 4 years later when they can pay their bills. Like, no, letting go is actually letting go of expectations and letting go of maybe pressure and images that you might have for your student that may not align as much with what their experience is. So it's letting go of expectations that your child might be a prodigy or an epic businesswoman or super, super smart. I mean, they are all super, super smart. I just don't know if we have any Einsteins, but they're super smart. Or that they might be a talented athlete, or that they might come home and just work on the family farm or do the same thing that you did. It's really letting go of those expectations that this will be who your child will be, and really inviting them to tell you who are they becoming. It's really also the opinion of what your child's college experience will be. This picture is not meant to be insulting, but I will say we Googled highly opinionated people. They were all men. I don't know why, but they were. So you might also need to be letting go of the expectation that their college experience is going to be exactly like yours. I mean, how many of you was this your college experience? Just kind of sitting, yeah, only a few of you, right? We don't have computers like that anymore. Or maybe you don't want it to be anything like yours. You know, I have to say, do students even get the Animal House reference nowadays? No? Okay. Yeah. You know, but again, so this idea that you may not want them to have that experience. So this is where really you as a parent, you as a family are also growing. You're learning to see maybe some of your child's cues for some separation. Maybe this means they're not texting you back as quickly, or maybe it means that they're not coming to visit as often. They're sending you some ideas of, I'm growing and I want to kind of learn and stretch my boundaries, and is that okay? And this is where also you as a parent learn to accept that growth and accept that development as a supportive partner in that, rather than the person who is creating it for them. And in some ways, learning to accept rejection without deserting. So I know rejection can sound like a really harsh word, but I imagine that it can feel that way when maybe your student doesn't want to come home to visit for the first time. Or maybe they want to spend a holiday at a significant other's. You know, there's these pieces that might come up that bring, you know, feelings of rejection. And it's, again, kind of checking in with yourself of, you know, I may feel hurt, but I'm not going to leave my student. I'm not going to abandon my student because of this. And that really at this point, whether this is your first child or your fifth child, that you and your family are starting to create a new life of what your home looks like without your student there, or what it looks like when your student returns as well. Okay. So we hear a lot of kind of common concerns that parents might have when their students are coming to the university. Those include they can't get into the classes they want, they can't find a job when they graduate, they pick the wrong major. This is, who gets to decide what the wrong major is a big conversation, I think, to have with your student too. And it goes back to, like, what do we expect them to become? What if your student gets sick? What if they hate their roommate? What if they do the stupid things that you did in college? And all of these what ifs. And so I'm also here to tell you the university has something to support you and your student through all of these. So some of these will happen, right? Like there will be times that your student will not get the class that they want. They will get sick. If they don't, let me know what vitamin regimen they're on, but they will get sick. And they may not like their roommate. But like I said, there's an office for all of this for students. Can't get into classes, student academic counseling and achievement. They can't find a job when they graduate, career services. Major academic counseling. They get sick, health services. They hate their roommate, residence life. They do stupid things, counseling and psychological services, or dean of students, depending on how stupid it is. But again, we as a university are here to support you all in these concerns so that neither you or your student has to be alone in kind of figuring all of this out. There's also some common concerns that sometimes parents don't really speak out loud. And it really goes to like, will my student be okay? And have you done enough, or have I done enough as a parent? So let's say, I don't know, no, you haven't done enough as a parent. I'm not even gonna go there. You're here, you're sitting in this room, your student would not be at the University of St. Thomas if you haven't done enough as a parent. So we're not even going to go to that one. So let's assume that you have done enough as a parent. And so you may have these questions of what if they change? What if you change? Will they ever come home again? Will they still need you? I'm getting old. So I want to ask you all, how many of you are the same person you were when you were 18? Anybody? No, right? We all change, and this is the period where most change occurs. Will you change? Absolutely. Your family will change. You will see new relationships start to grow with your student as they get older, new ways that you relate and communicate. Will they come home again? Absolutely. I believe most of them drove here with you today. They're coming home with you. Will they still need you? Yes. Absolutely. Will they need you in a way that is different than when they were that little toddler learning to walk? Yes. They will need you for different things. I can say I've been working with college students for over 10 years, and the number one thing that's one of the most important things to students is parents' love, acceptance, and encouragement. It is more powerful than any of the other things, is really feeling that support and acceptance from you all. So yes, they will continue to need you. If not for that, for food and laundry. And then I'm getting old. You know what? You are. I can't do anything about that, but you are. This is just a really nice quote again, that there is nothing more sad or glorious than generations changing hands. And that's exactly what's happening here. You are bringing your students to grow into the next generation. Again, I don't think students know who John Mellencamp is, but it's a great quote. And again, some more concerns that we'll think of is really, will you be okay as parents? Like, will you be able to be okay? And I will tell you, again, I am a psychologist. I paid a lot of money for my degree, and you will be okay. You have been with your students since they were born, and you have walked them through these challenges, and you have grown with them this entire time. And so you will continue to do that. With all of this change, like I mentioned, your household is also going to be changing. Your relationships will change. The relationships, if you have younger children or older children, will change with your student. Maybe some of the roles in the family will change. Maybe how people are there for each other might change a little bit. Tasks and chores are a big part. If your student is the one who takes out the garbage every night, someone else needs to take out the garbage. And then physical space and things need to change. How will their room be determined? Or how will their room be used? I really recommend do not change their room in the first semester that they're here, just my professional opinion. But, you know, again, at some point you may talk about when does the younger sibling get to move into the better room? And those are conversations that you'll start to have. And again, the changed expectations. And expectations will change as your student gets older and goes through their 4 years here. So some ways, again, of parents transitioning is that you likely feel really sad sometimes that your student is leaving. I cried when my child left for college, then I cried when they came home for break. You know, some of you, the room might look like this right now and you can't wait to clean it up after they go. But again, these are some of the, going into some of the transitions and boundaries as a family that you're going to start talking about. So some discussion topics to really think about covering with your student is, things like curfew when they come home from break, or if you have a commuter student, what is curfew going to be? A lot of times students like to hang around on campus, even if they're commuters, because events happen after the classes are done and things like that. It's important to talk about things like finances and credit cards, to make sure they know how to do laundry, just please. Also setting boundaries around how frequently do you want them to visit. It's really important for them to spend some time here on campus, but also to feel, like they have that space to return to when they need it. Again, how often do you expect phone calls and texts? Meeting people. Will they have a car on campus? Will you expect them to work? Again, these are all conversations to have before they get here in a few weeks. It's, again, redefining what the boundaries and the roles are. And so start these conversations like maybe on the way home, or, again, making it part of the planning to moving and starting at St. Thomas. And so again, what can you do as parents? And it's really embracing the growth and development that you're seeing, really encouraging and supporting that change. Like I said, accepting that growing autonomy without deserting, that this is not your child's abandoning of you or abandoning of your family values, but again, they're growing into adulthood, and how to support that and how to encourage that. Listen to your student and value their ability to make decisions, and also recognizing maybe sometimes they may make decisions that you're not sure about, and that, again, your role is to be there to help them get back up if it doesn't work out, and to encourage them to kind of problem solve some of these things as well. And that to also please remind your student that we have a ton of resources here for them and for you. And so they are not alone when they get here. And so if there are things that are difficult for them, we have a lot of resources that can support them in that. So again, just a quick wrap up. What you're experiencing is completely normal. All of these what ifs, all of these concerns are an active part of just your child growing up and coming to college. And like I said before, whether it's 1 or 4 or 5, you are experiencing a new kind of gain and a new kind of loss. Your family, you're familiar with changes, and your family is familiar with changes, and your student has continued to grow, and that you have been there through them and you've supported them through all of these things before. Your family is changing, and your student will still need you, and that you will be okay. So we're really excited to welcome you to the Tommy family. We're really excited to welcome your students here. It's been really great being able to share this information with you today. Does anybody have any questions or anything like that? No? Okay. I'm going to hang out in the back for a few minutes in case anybody has a private question they want to ask. Again, my name is Gigi Giordano, and feel free to reach out to Counseling and Psychological Services if you have any other questions after today. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.